The evening sky over the city mall was soaked in amber light, glowing softly over glass walls and rushing crowds. Cars honked in the distance, laughter spilled from cafe doors, and music played from street vendors selling roasted corn and balloons. Among the people moving in waves of noise and neon, Arav walked alone, his expression calm yet detached, the kind of calm that hides 1,000 old storms. He had just finished a business meeting and was supposed to meet his friends for dinner. But his steps slowed as his mind wandered. Back to the life he once had, the girl who had once meant everything, Maya. It had been 6 years, yet the sound of her name still had the power to stir something deep inside him. They had met during their college years. Maya was laughter and sunshine, an artist who could find beauty in the dullest corners of life. Arav, on the other hand, was the serious one, ambitious, practical and often lost in work. They were opposites who somehow completed each other. Late-night walks under city lights, shared cups of tea in old cafes, promises whispered in the rain. Those memories were carved deep in his heart. But one day she disappeared. No letter, no message, no goodbye. Just silence. For months he searched. He asked her friends, visited her home, but her number was disconnected. Her apartment emptied out. He was left with questions and an ache that never quite went away. Life moved on, but a piece of him stayed frozen in that unanswered goodbye. Now, as Arav stepped out of the mall's glass doors, the evening breeze brushed past him, carrying a faint sound, a soft, trembling voice asking for help. "Sir, please, some change?" He turned and there she was, a girl sitting by the corner near the parking area, wrapped in a faded shawl, hair tangled, face pale, hands trembling. She held out a paper cup with a few coins rattling inside. For a moment, Arav's mind refused to believe his eyes. His heart stopped, then pounded with shock. It was her, Maya. She was thinner now, her once bright eyes dimmed by exhaustion, her voice cracked by hunger and sorrow. The world around him blurred as he tried to process the image. His Maya, the girl who used to dream of art galleries and starlit travels, now sitting barefoot on the cold ground. Their eyes met, and for a split second, recognition flashed in hers, followed by shame. She looked away quickly, pulling her shawl closer. Arav's lips parted, but no words came out. The emotions collided inside him. Shock, anger, confusion, and a deep, aching sadness. "Maya," he whispered. She flinched at her name, but didn't answer. "Maya, it's me, Arav." The name hung in the air like a ghost from another life. Slowly she looked up. Tears gathered in her eyes as she whispered back, "You shouldn't have stopped, Arav, please. Just go." But he couldn't. He crouched down, his voice trembling. "What happened to you? Where have you been all these years?" She shook her head, tears falling freely now. "It doesn't matter. You shouldn't see me like this." Arav reached into his wallet, pulling out some notes, but she pushed his hand away. "Don't," she said, her voice cracking. "I didn't come here to beg from you." "Then why are you here, Maya?" he asked softly. She looked at the ground, her words barely audible. "Because life didn't go the way I thought it would." That night, Arav couldn't sleep. Her face haunted him, her broken voice, her trembling hands, the pride still alive in her even after everything. He replayed every memory, every moment that led to her disappearance. By morning he had made a decision. He couldn't just walk away again. Not from her. The next day he returned to the mall. She wasn't there. Panic surged in him until he spotted her a few streets away, sitting near a food stall. He approached her gently, offering her tea and something to eat. She resisted at first, embarrassed, but hunger won. As she ate slowly, he sat beside her silently. When she finally looked at him, her eyes were soft, tired, but still carried the spark he remembered. "You really want to know?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "Everything." And so she told him. She had lost her parents soon after graduation. Her father's debts had buried her in financial chaos. She tried to manage, working at a small design studio, but one night a fire destroyed it all. Her savings vanished, and so did her courage. She left the city, too ashamed to face anyone, especially him. "You were building your dreams," she said, voice trembling. And I was watching mine burn. I couldn't bring myself to drag you down. Arav's eyes filled with tears. You think I would have cared about money more than you? She shook her head. No, Arav, I knew you would have tried to save me, and that's exactly why I left. I wanted you to rise, not fall because of me. The words pierced him like glass. He realized she had vanished, not out of betrayal but out of love twisted, by pain and pride. He took her hand gently. Let me help you now, Maya, please. She looked at his hand, trembling, unsure. Why would you still care? She whispered. Arav smiled sadly. Because some people never stop caring. That evening he took her to a women's shelter he had supported through his company's charity foundation. He arranged for her medical checkup, clean clothes, and a safe place to stay. As she stood at the doorway, she turned to him with tears in her eyes. You didn't have to, Arav. I did, he said softly. Because once you saved me from becoming a man who forgot what love feels like. That night, Maya lay in a clean bed for the first time in years, tears wetting her pillow. She wasn't sure what hurt more, the past or the kindness. She no longer felt she deserved. Arav left the shelter with a heavy heart, but also a flicker of hope. Maybe fate had brought them back together for a reason. Days turned into weeks. Maya slowly began to heal. The shelter's counselor helped her regain confidence, and Arav visited often, sometimes with books, sometimes with her favorite tea, sometimes just to sit quietly beside her. They didn't talk about love or the past much. It was too fragile to touch, but their silence was filled with understanding, with emotions that words could no longer hold. Arav's friends noticed the change in him. He smiled more, worked with softer edges, and sometimes when his phone rang and he saw Maya's name, his eyes lit up in a way they hadn't in years. Maya, on the other hand, began sketching again. Her art slowly returned to life, drawings of the sky, the streets and faces filled with hope. Arav had one framed in his office, a woman reaching for the sun even while standing in the dark. That's you, he told her once, and she smiled shyly like the old days. One afternoon, Arav brought her to a small art gallery. I've been talking to a curator, he said. They want to exhibit your work. Maya froze. My work? Arav, I can't. Yes, you can, he interrupted gently. You've survived the worst. You deserve the best. Her eyes shimmered. Why are you doing all this for me? He looked at her for a long moment before answering. Because I never got to say goodbye either. The exhibition day arrived. The hall was filled with people admiring her art. Maya stood in a corner, nervous but radiant in a simple white dress. Arav watched her from afar, his heart full. She caught his gaze, and for a second it felt like time had folded back. Two souls finding their way home again after years of wandering. As the night ended, she walked up to him. You gave me my life back, she whispered. He smiled. You just needed a little reminder of who you've always been. Maya took his hand. Do you think we can start again? Arav's reply was simple but full of emotion. We never really ended, Maya. Months passed, and their bond deepened, no longer built on youthful dreams but on scars, strength and forgiveness. Love, it seemed, had returned not with grand gestures, but with quiet resilience. They began helping other people at the shelter, turning their pain into purpose. Maya's story inspired many. How a woman who once begged outside a mall now painted hope for others. One evening, as they walked past the same mall where fate had reunited them, Maya stopped and looked at the spot where she used to sit. Funny, she said softly. This is where everything ended and began again. Arav slipped his hand into hers. Life has a strange way of bringing back what's meant to be. She smiled, resting her head on his shoulder as the city lights reflected in her eyes. For the first time in years, she wasn't haunted by her past. She was grateful for it. It had led her back to him. As they walked away hand in hand, the night air carried a sense of closure and renewal. Love had found its way back. Not in perfection, but in forgiveness, in second chances, in the quiet understanding between two broken hearts that still beat for each other. And as the story fades, a voice speaks softly to those watching. Sometimes life separates us so we can learn what truly matters. And when love returns, it's not by accident, it's by destiny. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe and be part of more stories that remind us all true. Love never really ends.